in this video, all we're gonna do is remove the atom and bring in SGD as we discussed in the previous video. So simply remove the atom, bring in the SGD, and make sure your learning rate is similar at least. So we're gonna get it back to 0.001, and let's close it. Make sure your epochs are 10, and that's how you can compare the result. There you go, make it 10, and that's about it. We're not going to change anything, and we're just going to see how this works. So publish, and we're going to call this MA0 and publish. That's it. There you go. Your training definition has been successfully created. Now, before we actually train this in an experiment, I would like to share about this specific feature here, which is the alerts. And this is very important because when everything is going good, of course, this says success and things like that. But what's important is when you do something which is not working out, then all your error messages are going to come here, at least in terms of the validation. So if you use some layer which is not compatible with some other layer, and if you missed out some setting which is mandatory, and many other issues like dangling nodes and connections which are not being made, so there could be many issues as you increase the layers. So all of those are going to be shown here. All right. Okay, so we're all good now. So let's try to do the experiment this time by going back to the project, since we already saved this training definition, so it's already there. Now we're going to go back and do the experiment. So I'm going to say new experiment here and give it a name. We're going to call it MAEXP0, and this is the same procedure as from the last video or the last exercise we did. So this is where you're going to choose your source data, and this is where you choose the bucket to store the results. As you can see, I can use any connection which you have created. Since we're not downloading and uploading it, so you're going to come to the existing training definition, since it's already published to the server. MA0, there you go. And then this is the same hardware, and then simply create and run. So sit back and relax. It should not take much time because it's only 10 epochs and it's just one layer. Alright, as you can see, the training is complete and the accuracy is 0.475 and the validation is 0.69. So it's not that great. So SGD is not really working out for these number of epochs. Of course, this can be slightly different when you increase the epochs and other parameters, but for the exact same settings, the SGD is not panning out. Alright, so what we're gonna do now is just to compare two brand new runs side by side. I'm going to create another experiment. So let's go back here and say new experiment, and let's say MAA EXP 0.1, and the procedure is the same. So go for it and select your buckets. Add your training definition. So this is going to be the same MAA0 definition. So we already have that. All right, there you go. And that's it. Select, create, and run. So this is the first run, and then we're going to add another one for the same training definition. All right, sit back, and in a few minutes I'll come back. Here we go. We see some numbers coming in. The accuracy this time is 0.659. As you can see, it's a bit different from the first time. So if I go inside, you can see that this one started off with here, right about here, that is 0.6, and it's kind of stayed there. So you see that the initial weights played a big role here. All right. Okay, so let's go back and see if this is complete. This is almost complete. So let's add one more. So that's about it. And let's just wait for a few minutes again, and then we will complete this experiment. Okay. So this is the second run, and we have an accuracy of 0.79 versus 0.656 in the first one. And in the first experiment we did, the accuracy was only 0.4 or something like 0.5. So you get an idea that you can't go by the first runs, and since the epochs are just 10, it's really hard to come up with a conclusion about the performance of a certain set of parameters. So you have to run this a lot, and also you have to test it in terms of your actual data set, that is your validation or testing data set, and then you have to take your call. So I hope you got a hint of what's happening here. Great.